We are on the Bruce Trail right now, and we are heading into Cave Springs Conservation Area, and we're gonna have a look around and see what's all out there. And I didn't like that intro, so I'm gonna do that again. We are hiking along the Bruce Trail right now, and we are heading into Cave Springs Conservation Area.
Cave Springs Conservation Area, located off the historic Bruce Trail in Lincoln, is a spectacular hidden gem in the Niagara region. Filled with folklore, it is a beautiful natural area with so much to discover. Hiking along the top of the Niagara Escarpment on the Bruce Trail from a small parking lot on Quarry Road, we were mesmerized by the incredible views overlooking Lake Ontario and the vineyards below. The escarpment rim and bedrock forest below are dominated by sugar maples. You will find a rich diversity of wildflowers, ferns, and mosses on the forest floor and on heaps of huge boulders. The dense green space here provides a linear migration corridor for plants and animals. Birdsong echoed through the trees, and we stopped many times to take in the view and listen to the relaxing sounds of nature.
They're a bit slippery.
Walking along the base of the sheer vertical rock face of the escarpment, I was impressed by the knowledge that this was once the prehistoric edge of the glacial lake, Lake Iroquois. Lake Iroquois was formed at the end of the last ice age approximately 13,000 years ago, when the St. Lawrence River was blocked by an ice sheet. When the ice sheet melted, the water was able to drain and receded to form present-day Lake Ontario. The cultural folklore and mystique of Cave Springs is as rich as its natural diversity. There is evidence that the property was once a First Nations encampment with a longhouse, and at one time, a number of native faces could be found carved into the stone. An archaeologist from the Royal Ontario Museum took plaster casts of the heads to preserve their record before the carvings were completely destroyed by vandals. One carving, the chief's head, is all that remains. You will also find a magnesium spring running out of the face of the escarpment. The water from this spring was once collected and sold in Hamilton as a medicine for stomach complaints. The water was tested in the 1950s and found to have high levels of Epsom salt. Cave Springs was also the site of an ice cave, used for refrigeration in the 1800s and early 1900s. In the 1930s, an attempt was made to increase the size of the cave with dynamite and resulted in its collapse. There are also stories of an underground lake once accessible from a field on Quarry Road. We continued to walk along the base of the escarpment. There were many areas where the rock curved over our heads, so we proceeded carefully, hoping rocks wouldn't fall on us. It is a beautiful area, and during the fall I have been able to find red-spotted salamanders. Care must be taken not to step on them. We made our way to the main path, then headed down towards the Chief's Head stone carving and the Margaret Reid home. The Chief's Head carving is really impressive. The headdress is very detailed and the face stoic. You will also see names carved into the stone at the back of the carving. When Margaret Reid, the self-proclaimed Witch of Cave Springs, died in 2005, the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority began plans to turn her property into the Cave Springs Conservation Area. Reid was described as eccentric, but her passion for nature and animals protected the Cave Springs area from the 1970s till her death. In 2002, she received the Calypso Orchid Award in recognition for her 30-plus years of effort crusading for the protection of the area. During her time at Cave Springs, she wrote 6 books about the property.
So I can see, looks like an old oil storage container, like a furnace. I can see the water heater. Last time I was here it smelled kind of musty, but this is early spring, so it doesn't smell that bad actually at the moment. So.
Reid, a white-haired wisp of a woman, would voluntarily conduct historical walking tours of the area for school groups, telling wide-eyed children that she was 300 years old thanks to the magical fountain of youth spring water found on the property. She was also known to bravely chase off any disrespectful hikers.
I don't think we can go much further than this.
Reid and her husband Ron sold the property to the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority in 1981, with an agreement that she could continue living on the property until her death. Although her former home still stands, it is in very poor condition and cannot be saved. There were plans to demolish the home and construct a viewing platform, but to date, this has not happened.
So here we have the Cave Spring Vineyard. It's a beautiful thing. That was not great. Well, look where we are. We are standing here on the Bruce Trail at a commemorative plaque that shows that this is where the first blaze of the Bruce Trail was cut on March 25th, 1962. So that is pretty cool. This is where it all began. Of course, now it goes from, let me turn this around. My battery on my other camera died, so I have to use my phone, so sorry if the video quality is not as good. But of course, this trail goes from Queenston Heights all the way to Tobermory, almost 900 kilometers. So, the very first blaze was cut here. There we have a marker right on the tree.